Hi, here's the introduction to using the Carvey and the Xcarve. First of all, you're going to need to head over to Google, and you can just search for Inventables. Inventables is the site you need to head off to. Now, once you get there, there's all sorts of stuff you can do here. They've got projects, they've got a store, but what you really want is easel right here. Easel is where all of your projects will be stored. Here are all my projects from a while back, but if you start a new project, after you have an account and you sign in, we're ready to go. Now, here's the sheet you should have in front of you. The Carvey and Xcarve sheet. We will be filling this in with some information. First of all, safety training. Okay, biggest safety bit of safety training is make sure you keep your hands away from a running Xcarve. Carveys are safer because they are totally enclosed, but the Xcarve you could hurt yourself. So, now using easel, we just saw that you go to inventables.com, you sign in, you might have to sign up the first time, and you go to easel. So, let's take a look at easel for a second. Here's the interface. Now on this side of the screen, what you have is all of the tools you can click on to add different objects. On the right side of the screen, you have a preview of what you're making. So up next in our badges form, sizing details correctly. So we need to measure the board's X, Y, and Z. So if you have a little board, over here in the corner, we're going to put in how big that board is. You'll have to measure it. Let's say we have a 6-inch board by a 6-inch board that is half an inch thick. So 0.5 inches thick. So now these things I've already added, they're off, but you can see that easel gives you this nice dotted line you can follow to know the size of your material. Now we want to carve something into our block. Let's get rid of what we have. If you right click, you can remove them. And if you want to insert some text, heading on up over here, find all the text. Get a text box. You have to click into it. You want to edit it. Let's say we want to just make this say Rex. So we have Rex written on the board. Put it somewhere. Now, over here, you can decide how deep into the board you have this cut. Okay. Now, unless you're going to go all the way through, you don't want to go. 1/8 of an inch is pretty deep cut for just a word or letters or something else. So 1/8 or less. Now we want to see if this will actually work. If we head over here to the bottom, we can click Simulate, and we can see that Rex shows up with all these little blue lines inside. What if I wanted to make Rex a lot smaller, however? So I made it a little bit smaller. If I click Simulate now, you'll see it doesn't quite look right. And I'm glad we checked, because what we have over here for letters can't be carved out by the bit we have selected. So either we're going to have to make the letters bigger, or we'll have to find a smaller bit. Okay? Easier in this case just to make the letters bigger. Keep the 1/8 inch bit, which is pretty standard. Now in our notes, I want you to write down, please click Simulate and check blue lines to make sure that the sizing details are all showing up. Okay. Up next, we're going to be inserting objects and uploading simple images and checking the blue lines to see that everything works. Okay, so the image that we're going to add, let's add a dog bone to it. So if we want to add a dog bone, let's say this is what we want. We don't want this outline version. A solid version is better. So grab a very simple shape that's solid. We'll save it. Then over here in import, you're going to import an image trace. Right? So now we're going to upload the file. You have to find it, upload it. And it's going to trace what we have. So we'll import that. So here we have this image. Let's say we want to put Rex right in the middle of our dog bone. Oh, I can't see Rex anymore. We could send the dog bone to the back of the page. Here we go. So there's our bone. There's our puppy's name in it. Well, I think it'd be better just to have the whole thing be the shape. So instead of a fill, if we do an we do an outline of that. Okay, that's cool. And Rex, remember we needed to make it bigger so that we could see it. We're only going to cut it a little bit through. And whenever we get somewhere in our project, click Simulate to see how much of it's going to get cut. So you can see blue everywhere here. That means everywhere is going to be cut. So we inserted some objects. We uploaded a simple picture. Keyword being simple pictures. Okay. Up next, we're going to play with some custom shapes. So we'll get out the pen tool. We'll edit some points. We'll convert some corners to curves. So first of all, the pen tool is right up here. This makes it easy to make custom shapes that you didn't think you could make before. Just making something for an example. There, I just made a goofy looking box. Okay, so now if I want to fill that in, carve it all the way out or outline it. Right here we have different types of outlines. So if we want to be on the outside of the line that I just drew, or if we want to be on the inside of the line we just drew, the drill bit will cut on the inside of that line that I just drew. Or we could do on path, which is dead center on top. Fill just fills in the inside, but oh, this is not quite right. I want to change the shape. I go down here to edit points, where I can start to change the shape of it. So I'm editing the shape, whatever it is I want to make. Okay, this kind of looks like a, I don't know what it looks like, but I don't like how angular it is. Sharp corner here. If I edit these points, this point right here, I want it to be rounded. So I'm going to take it from a straight angle to a curved spot. And same with this one. I'll change that to curved. If I make all of these curved, what we end up with is a shape that's a lot softer than what we had before. And each one of these curves you can bend and pull however you like. So you can make whatever kind of a shape you want really quickly and modify it. That is right here with the editing tool. Edit points. So that was the editing points and changing corners to curves. Now you're making deep cuts. So let's cut out our little tag. This, I want to hold this in my hand, this dog bone shape. Well, that means our cut depth is going to need to be 1/2 inches. And now when you get all the way to the bottom, those yellow things are popping on to the screen. Those are called tabs. Okay, these tabs, you can move them so they're in a convenient spot. It won't cut through at these points because if it cuts all the way through and all of a sudden there's nothing hanging on to this dog bone shape on the inside, the piece can start moving. And if it gets wedged up against the bit, it'll start wrecking your piece. And it could wreck the machine. So you want to leave these tabs. You could even increase how many there are. That's crazy. Four tabs usually does it. You can change their length and width here, but if you turn them off, you might have trouble with your piece. But this means it'll hold in place even when it's cutting all the way through. So once you get your design ready to carve, you'll need to go over here to the Carve button. The Carve button gives you all the instructions you need for how to clamp it down and how to secure the piece and double check everything before you actually do it. Okay, so we'll be doing it in class, but if it's your first time, make sure you go through the Carve button very, very carefully. Okay, last thing, vacuum dust. When the machine is finished, it's your job to get the vacuum and vacuum up all the dust, and then make sure you put all the clamps in their proper place and put them away. Now this cut right here, with an 1/8 inch bit, carving out all this stuff plus the Rex, would take about 14 minutes. We'll get rid of this and just do Rex. It's down to 9 minutes. Okay, last thing I'll say is that the material that I have for you, most of it is MDF. So you can change whatever it is up here to MDF. The standard bit size, 1/8 inch. Otherwise, you may need to deal with 1mm bits. 1mm bit is a common bit, or a 2mm bit is slightly smaller than the 1/8 inch bit. But that's the real basics of this program.